Addressing mental health, that's the focus of a new partnership between the Indianapolis Colts and the American Academy of Physicians Assistants. The organization's president joins us for tonight's Unfiltered conversation. Jennifer, thanks for joining us. Before we get started, explain to the folks at home who maybe aren't aware what AAPA is.
AAPA is the national organization representing more than 150,000 PAs across this country who practice medicine in every specialty and in every setting, delivering healthcare, mainly primary care, to all the citizens in the United States.
So you're teaming up with the Colts on this. Why is it so important?
Well, I think, in light of even our most recent events, this shows us why this is so important and how mental health has really become the forefront of a crisis in this country. And, this partnership with the Colts is really intended to help everyone start to recognize the importance of mental health and to enable them and empower them to be able to recognize when people are having mental health symptoms, not just PAs who are experts in medicine, which is great. But by this partnership, if we can train additional PAs to start training others and start that cascading effects to even the community, we can really start to address some of the mental health issues in this country, not only with providers such as myself, physicians and nurses and others, but you right at home can recognize family and friends and start to make a difference.
What kind of training will be involved?
Yeah, this initial partnership that we're doing with the Colts and their Kick the Stigma campaign and now into this mental health first aid training will train 8 PAs, faculty members in their respective education programs, who will then in turn train all of the students as well as other healthcare professions in their universities, who will then go out into the community and train additional people. We're going to start in Indiana. We hope that this will train over 2,000 people in Indiana, which has its own crisis of mental health. AAPA is the first medical profession to do this, medical organization to do this. The Colts are the first NFL. And we really recognize the importance of doing this now and really starting to address this crisis as it continues to progress. We really hope that this is something that others can do and replicate, and we can start to spread across this country.
You said there's a mental health crisis here in Indiana. I would assume it's similar to other places as well, but how bad is it here?
Yeah, from the latest statistics that I've read from Indiana, there's over 1 million individuals with mental health illness in Indiana, and only 30% of them are getting treatment, which is very common in the mental health space. And those are just the ones we know about. It's very, very difficult for people to talk about their mental health struggles. And, I commend Kaylin Jackson, the vice president, and her entire family for speaking up and making it normal to say that you're not okay. I have shared my own mental health struggles over the years as a healthcare provider, because there's lots of fear that you'll lose your license or people won't trust you. But we have to start making this normal. And I think the Colts and the American Academy of PAs are really committed to saying, let's start saying it's okay to not be okay and start addressing this in with our family and with our friends so we can start to drive change.
The campaign, as you mentioned, is Kick the Stigma with the Colts. Do you think that we're doing that? Do you think that, because I remember, 5-10 years ago, it was almost hush-hush. You could never talk about it. Now it seems like it's more of an open conversation.
Yeah, I would agree, right? I mean, I grew up, it was don't talk about it, and no one needs to know. And even as I went through my medical education and training as a PA 20 years ago, it was not something that we were encouraged to talk about. And I think what we've seen throughout not only the pandemic and the isolation of the pandemic, what's happened to our children in the pandemic, and now what's happened in this community. And, our hearts are with the community in Texas for the unimaginable that has occurred and what now they're going to have to do as they process that grief and that tragedy, and how important this is that we start to address some of these issues. Is it enough? I've been asked that question many a times. I don't know it will ever be enough, but it is something, and it's a start. And I think the more we can talk about it, the more we normalize this as part of everyday life and normal conversations, the more normal it will become.
Couldn't agree with you more. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking some time.
Thank you so much.